Welcome everyone to Numerical Gems in the Torah. Today I would like to look at Avram Avinu, Abraham, the first Jew, the first patriarch, and to look at two significant numbers in his life that tell us much about who he was and his whole mission in this world. So the first number we want to look at is the number 100. The first time that God explicitly talks to Avram is in Parshat Lech Lecha, where he tells him, Lech Lecha me'artzecha, me'molodetecha, me'beit avicha, ela aretz asher areka. God says to Avram, but it's not really just to Avram. It's really to all the Jewish people for all time. Lech lecha ma'artzecha. Go, leave your land, your birthplace, and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. So the first thing that God says to Avram is, Lech lecha. Go. It's a double language. Lech lecha. It's actually the same letters. Lech means to go out. Lecha means to go in. And so Rashi explains it, Lech lecha means for your own good, you should follow my command. In other words, encouragement that you won't lose by it. But on a deeper level, all the commentaries point out this double language means that God is commanding Avram that he both has to do an outside journey, his way of acting in this world, his mission in this world, but that's dependent on an inner journey, an inner spiritual journey, which ultimately will reflect itself in the outside world. So if you look at this expression, Lech Lecha, Lech equals 50, Lamed equals 30, Chaf equals 20. So Lech equals 50, and Lecha, which are the exact same letters, also equals 50. Together they equal 100. So why is it so significant in Avram's life? We'll see later that the Torah tells us explicitly that Avram was 100 years old when he and Sarah gave birth to Yitzchak. And so here we can see a beautiful idea is that 100 at the birth of Yitzchak represents Avram, his completion of Lech Lecha. In other words, bringing a child into the world is taking from one's inner being and bringing a new energy, a new child, a new neshama, a new soul into the outer world, into the physical material world. So Lech Lecha, which equals 100, is fully manifest with the birth of Yitzchak when Avram was 100 years old. Later, after Avram has passed away, and Yitzchak becomes the second patriarch, so it says that Yitzchak planted in that year, and he yielded 100-fold. In other words, his planting was very, very successful, 100-fold. But here, the Torah is not just mentioning how much grain he was able to plant and harvest. What it means here is that Yitzchak, as the second patriarch, is carrying on both the inner and the outer work that Avram began with Lech Lecha. And so now Yitzchak becomes the one who is going to bring Avram's teachings into the world and his own teachings. And ultimately, he will give birth to Yaakov, and we have the continuation of Jewish lineage and tradition. So here we see the number 100 3 different times in the life of Avram, but we could actually see it a 4th time as well, because according to tradition, Avram had 10 tests. God tested him in 10 different ways, each one to try to bring out more of who Abraham was and could be. A test in this context is not a negative thing. Each and every one of us has many tests in life, but ultimately these tests are to bring us to a state of completion, to a state of accomplishment and growth. And so each test that Avram had when he passed is in Kabbalah, it means like a square number. The square number means the complete manifestation of this number. So it turns out that 10 squared equals 100. His 10 tests is fully manifest in the number 100. The second number I want to speak about is 248. 248 is the gematria, the numerical value of the name of Abraham. But this number is very, very important in Judaism because of the 613 mitzvot. 248 of them are called positive mitzvot, and 365 are called prohibitive mitzvot. So Avraham, as the first Jew, he represents what will later become the 248 positive mitzvot. We're also told that the body has 248 bones or / limbs, but really bones. And so Abraham's whole being was fully manifest in what would happen with the Jewish people and ultimately receiving the Torah at Sinai. We're actually told that all of the patriarchs and matriarchs kept the Torah in a spiritual sense even before it was given. They intuited the principles behind the mitzvot. So the number 248, again, is the gematria of the name Abraham, but is very, very connected to the body and to the fulfillment of mitzvah, which of course we're doing with our body. Most of the mitzvot have to do with a physical act or speech, where we are doing the mitzvot in the physical world with our physical bodies. But another term that has the gematria of 248 is B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God. And we know from the creation of human beings in the story of Genesis that a human being was created B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God. So here we could put these two together, that the image of God is most represented by Abraham. Now, where do we see this even in a sense, in a stronger way? There are two tellings of the story of Bereshit, of the creation of the world. The first one are the 6 days of creation and Shabbat. And then begins a second telling of the story, which fills in especially about the creation of human beings in the Garden of Eden and everything that subsequently occurred there. And this second telling begins with the words, Eila toldot shemayim v'oretz behi baram, v'yom asot Hashem Elokim eretz v'shemayim. And these are the generations of heaven and earth in their creation, behi baram, on the day that God created earth and heaven. And so the word bihibaram, in their creation, the sages tell us, don't read it bihibaram, read it be'avraham. Because if you look at the letters of bihibaram, it's the same letters as be'avram, with Avraham. So Avram represents the very purpose of creation. Avram represents chesed in this world, loving kindness. And we have a verse that says, Olam chesed yibaneh. God will create the world through chesed, through loving kindness. And so Avram is what's called the Merkavah, the chariot of the actual purpose of creation. These are the generations of heaven and earth, behi baram, in their creation. These are the generations of heaven and earth through Avraham. They were created. And so there is a midrash that says that when God wanted to create the world, Yisrael Allah b'machshava techila, that the thought of Israel arose first. And of course, who is the first Jew? The first of Israel is Abraham. And so it's more than as if God, when creating the world, and of course the last creations were human beings, the crown of creation, the purpose of creation. And so God's image of the image of God is Avraham. So that is the significance of Avram equaling B'Tselem Elokim.